any type of like hate because I was homeschooled. I feel like I was a little bit more sheltered, even though I did have like a lot of activities that I did. I'd never been bullied in my entire life. And I remember going online, and I was 17 years old and seeing all these comments, and for some reason a lot of people picked me out in the comments, and they were like, the girl in the middle is so ugly, she's so annoying, she should, like, I remember someone saying like she needs to go die. Like, it was just like these really really hurtful things. And I just remember thinking like, well, these people on the internet they don't even know me, so why would they have any reason to lie? Like, they must just be being completely honest. Like, I must really be annoying, I must really be ugly, I must really be a horrible singer, like all of these things that they said. And I just remember like it destroyed me, and I felt like I'd been insecure my entire life, and I finally was like getting a little bit better, and then suddenly all of that work that I had done in the last couple of years was like gone. And I went outside. It was like 5 or 6 in the evening. I hadn't eaten all day because I felt sick to my stomach all day, like seeing those comments and just being haunted by this feeling of like shame. I didn't view myself as better than like a piece of dirt. Like, I just felt so down. And I went outside and I just sat on my deck, and I looked out, and we lived close to a lake. So I remember looking out on this lake, and it was like this beautiful bright orange sunset. And I was sitting there, and I just felt so bad and so shameful. It was such an uncomfortable feeling that I just wanted to feel some relief. And so I started singing randomly. I had never done this before. And I sang Put Your Records On by Corinne Bailey Rae. And then after that, I suddenly started to feel a little bit better, and I started to sing this song called Deathbed by Reliant K, which is this 11-minute song that talks about this man in his entire life, from birth to death, and all these bad things that he goes through. And I knew every single word of this 11-minute song because that's how much I loved Reliant K. And I sat there singing it, and when I got to the end of it, I just remember feeling this sensation, like this wave of love was washing over me. And I started thinking about every single person in my family, my mom, my dad, all 10 of my brothers and sisters. And I started crying because I just felt all this love for my family. And I started praying for every single person. I thought about my mom, my dad, my siblings, what they all needed individually, like what things that they were struggling with. And I started praying for God to help all of them individually. And suddenly I heard this interior voice that said, start walking. And I was like, okay. So I just kind of started walking. I sat down on this like concrete pathway outside my house, and there was no one around. And I don't even know how much time passed, but the sun set and the stars came out. And I just remember sitting there, like hugging my knees to my chest, and crying and crying and crying, and feeling this spirit of love wash over me. And in that moment, I was completely transformed. Just for a split second in time, I saw myself as perfectly lovable, but also perfectly flawed. I could see all my flaws, and I could see how painful they were and how they really were stopping me from like becoming my best self. But I could also see it coexisting with me being lovable. And looking back on that time, I think I was encountering God, and God was showing me my true self. And for a moment, everything in the world just washed away. I thought about gossip, drama, the boy that I had a crush on, my friendships, all of it. I was just like, it doesn't mean what I thought. Like, it's not as important as I thought. And like, in that moment, I just felt perfectly content. I just knew like, I don't need any of these things that I'm always thinking about. Like, I don't need to be even in this world. Like, I just felt this longing to like lift off of the world and go away to heaven. And I felt this sense of ecstasy like pouring through my body of like perfect peace. And I was just crying my eyes out for, I don't even know how long it lasted, but I just completely just like got out of my body and was just very aware of God. And all of like the hatred and the like judgment and the cruel things that people had said about me, it all just went away. And I was like, I felt like God was telling me like, that is not you. These things are lies about you. And I just could see that I was lovable, and that I wasn't perfect, and that I had all these flaws, but I was still lovable. And I thought that it would never change. I obviously haven't been perfect. Like, I've made a lot of mistakes. I've been a really not good person at a lot of points in my life, but that moment defined my spirituality, like, because I just know that, like, this world is, there's a lot of, like, emptiness, and I know that, like, meaning only comes from God. But at the same time, sometimes I'm so deeply a part of this world, like, so deeply in, like, the experiences and hurts and wounds and feelings of other people. And I feel like after that happened, my senses were heightened and my soul changed. Like, I became, like, highly sensitive to other people's souls, and I could, like, feel what they were feeling immediately. Like, when I looked in people's eyes, I knew what they were struggling with. I knew what they were feeling. And it was like this heavy, heavy thing that I've carried with me every day since then. But I realized as I got older that